I thought you were going to tell that story that your daddy tells about when your shoe was all messed up there.
Oh, yeah. The first time we sang with you on Jubilee, I was playing drums at that time, and I came in early that morning. My shoe sole had come loose from my shoe, and you took pity on me, and you said, "Son, you're having trouble with your shoe." And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, let me help you." Mr. Les reached in his pocket. He pulled out a big, big roll of money, and it had rubber bands around it. So he took a couple of rubber bands away from the money and put around my shoe. It didn't flap anymore that day. But I have the rubber bands this morning. I'm going to give them back to you.
Okay, is this about enough of us?
Yeah, I'm going to give it back to him, but I want to share one other quick story. I know we've got a lot of veterans here. My uncle passed away, my mom's older brother, just about a month ago, and he was a World War II vet, and his detail was to liberate the concentration camps. And he didn't talk about that very much till the last 3 or 4 years of his life, but he was a great, great man. Another man that you know about is served in the Marines, Dr. James Murray.
Know him well.
Just retired from the presidency of the Oakland City University in Indiana, where I graduated, Scott Fowler graduated, Ernie Haas, we all went to school there, and he made it possible for me. I didn't know this story very long, but you guys had served in Korea at the same time and didn't know each other at that point.
Yeah, we were both in the hospital in Japan at the same time.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. He had taken a bayonet in the lungs. It was in the dead winter, very, very cold, and he wasn't breathing. His blood pressure was gone. And he tells this story, and I feel inadequate to tell this, his testimony. And he can't tell it without crying, because it was the grace of God that brought him to that hospital. But they had thrown him on the pile of the dead men because he wasn't breathing, his eyes wasn't blinking, they couldn't get any kind of response out of him. And he could hear everybody talking. He could hear everybody talking around him, but he couldn't say, he couldn't raise his hand, he couldn't blink, he couldn't look at them. And it was very, very cold, and because of that, he began to cry. He couldn't hear him. And one man looked back and said, "Murray's alive. He's crying." Picked him up out of that pile and put him on the truck and sent him to Japan. And, we hear a lot of negative about veterans coming back from war. Can they insert themselves back into life? We know what Les has done. It's been great. Been great. Dr. Murray came home and was a 25-year retired colonel out of the Marines, but he was a preacher's kid. He knew he had to preach. He went back to Oakland City and took over a college that was $4 million in debt, and when he left, it was $42 million to the good after 31 years. And now he's retired from that. Now he's taken over the General Baptist Assembly in Missouri. So I praise God for the veterans who have had a stand, not just there, but still here today, who are making a difference in our lives.
Murray has made it possible for a lot of young people like you.
That's right.
Like yourself to get a good education.
We've got 7 kids there now that are learning. So the legacy continues. It doesn't stop with one gesture. It continues. And I just want to say one last thing. I'm blessed to see all of you here today. This is overwhelmed. You've overwhelmed us again. We were expecting 300 or 400 people, and I don't know what we have out here, but it doesn't matter. But we're grateful that you're here. We're grateful that you're here. Can I read just one chorus of this? This was written. This is all about freedom today. In the chorus, let's read this right here. Deep within the heart has always known that there is freedom. Somehow breathed into the very soul of life. The prisoner, the powerless, the slave have always known it. There's something that keeps us reaching for the sky. And even life begins as a baby fights for freedom. And the songs we love to sing have freedom's theme. Some have walked through fire and flood to find a place for freedom. And some have faced hell itself for freedom's dream. Here's one this morning. I'm just going to read the chorus. Let freedom ring down through the ages from a hill called Calvary. Let freedom ring wherever hearts know pain. Let freedom echo through the lonely streets where prisons have no key. You can be free and you can sing. Let freedom ring.